Hello everyone, good evening and welcome. Are you in the mood for some paranormal stories? Let's get into it then. Number 1, the girl who fell down the well. When my wife was 6 years old, she fell down a well. She wasn't able to climb out, and when she realized she was stuck down there, she started to cry. Then she heard a girl's voice coming from above her. The voice told her not to worry and told her there were some stones sticking out of the walls of the well so she could grab hold of them and climb out. She did as the voice told her and managed to get out of the well. When she got to the top, she looked around, but there was nobody there. Creeped out, she ran all the way home. When her mother asked her what was wrong, she told her about what had happened. Her mother told her that many years ago, a little girl had fallen down that very same well and drowned. Number 2, midnight playtime. My grandmother told me a scary true story about something that happened when my father was a child. His playroom was in the attic. She said that sometimes she would hear him get up in the middle of the night and go play with his toys in the attic. She could hear the toy cars running back and forth across the hardwood floor and creaking of the rocking horse moving back and forth. She got mad at him for these midtime playtimes, but my father insisted that it wasn't him. She kept accusing him and he kept denying it. After a few weeks, my grandmother decided to catch him in the act. That night, when she heard the sound of toy cars running back and forth, she jumped out of bed and ran upstairs to catch my father. When she got to the attic, my father wasn't there and the toys were moving about by themselves. She watched for a moment until they stopped. When she went downstairs, she found my father fast asleep in his bed. My father remembers his mom asking about the toys, but he never saw or heard anything. Number 3, a Ouija board death. I know a true story involving Ouija boards. It comes from a friend of my mom's who is a police officer. The policeman's sister had a friend, and the two women would often contact the spirits through a Ouija board once a week. Every Friday after their husbands went off to the pub, they locked the doors, turned down the lights, and attempted to contact the other side. One Friday night, the police officer was called to his sister's house. People were gathered around the husband who couldn't get in. Neither could he get a rise from anyone from inside the house. The police officer smashed down the door. What he found inside still haunts him to this day. One woman was laying dead on the floor with a look of horror on her face. She was later found to have died from a massive heart attack. The other woman was unconscious. Later, when she recovered, she refused to talk about what she had seen. And as far as I know, to this day, she still hasn't. The woman who died was the police officer's sister. No wonder it has such a profound effect on him. And more shocking still was that she was only 21 years old. And up to that point, she had been perfectly healthy. Number 4, Baguio Hotel. There's a famous ghost story in the Philippines about an old hotel in Baguio, a popular vacation spot. They say there is a room in the hotel that is never ever occupied. Baguio is famous for holding conventions, and one week the place was very busy and all of the rooms were fully booked. There was a young woman who was left with no choice but to take the room. She was brushing her teeth in front of the bathroom mirror, and after she goggled, she saw a reflection in the mirror of a hag-like woman standing behind her, with long hair and a strange look in her eyes. The woman was so scared that she closed her eyes and recited the Lord's Prayer. After she finished the prayer, she opened her eyes again, and to her surprise, the figure was still behind her in the mirror. Worse still, the old hag was winding her finger through the girl's hair while reciting the Lord's Prayer in a mocking voice. Number 5. The Ozzy House. I'm not familiar with this story, but on Halloween this year, a local radio station was talking about it. Allegedly, there is this house in Gary, Indiana that they call the Ozzy House. Legend has it that this guy had a mentally disabled child and he kept it in the attic for years and beat it all the time. One day, he murdered his wife and decided to pack up the rest of the kids and just move. He left the mentally disabled child locked in the attic with the dead body of his wife. The family left all of their clothes and everything they owned in the house. It was just as they left it when they walked out. They say the table was even still set for dinner. It sat empty from that day until it burnt down a few years ago. No one would ever buy the house because of the legend, and no one knows whatever became of Mr. Ozzy or his kids. Maybe they're living in your neighborhood. Ooh. If you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to let me know. Thank you and good night, everyone.
Beep 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 beep.